Yeah.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
The next night,
yeah.
Were they TV tapings?
I believe they were, but I guarantee this match was never televised. What happened was, it was my first introduction to my character. I was that night in the hotel room. I remember I was hating myself, hating the fact that I'd given in to Staffer so easily and all that kind of thing. And I made a decision, like I said, not to let it happen again. So I went to a sporting goods store the next day, got a hockey mask, got a stick, got a jersey, got all the gimmicks, and I went out there and I basically, I spoke with some of the boys and all that kind of thing, and I went out that night, and this is one of the things I'm not exactly proud of, but I put Rand Staffer out of wrestling. I injured him permanently. And again, I'm not proud of that. I'm not saying this to brag. I'm actually fairly ashamed of it. But at that point in time, I actually hated myself and who I was so much that I became this other character. And that was the birth of the Chameleon. Because I was uncomfortable with myself, so if I had adopted someone else's gimmick and latched onto that and became them, I wouldn't have to face myself. So I faced Rand Staffer. I couldn't face him as Michael Harding. Michael Harding wouldn't have known what to do. Michael Harding would have run in the ring. Rand Staffer, as the Chameleon, I kicked the shit out of him, and I put him out of pro wrestling. And not only that, they brought him back on a stretcher, and I remember I was nuts, and I was still roided up, you understand. Yeah. And I overturned the stretcher. I'm like, I knocked you out, you little needle dick motherfucker. And then I cut a promo. Backstage, and all the boys are holding me back. The boys are pulling me back. I'm this rookie. They're like, who the fuck is this guy? He's nuts. Yeah. And they're holding me back. And Rob Roberts is holding me back like, motherfucker. And Staffer's, on the ground. His knee, I cracked his knee. Snapped his knee. And I cut a promo. I go, I am the Chameleon. Whatever you fear inside yourself, you will face when you face me in the ring. And after that, I stormed off, and everyone I could hear him whispering, they're like, "That guy's fucking nuts, crazy, what the hell?" So that was my introduction to some of the WWO.
So talking about the Chameleon, right?
Oh yeah.
So what did the boys initially think of the Chameleon gimmick?
They thought it was, shall we say, a bit strange. But then in pro wrestling, everything's a bit strange. So once they got to know me, once I got to know them and they got to know me, which I'm sure we'll be talking about, it was, they liked me. We got along. I mean, but the Chameleon, they were a little freaked out. Yeah. They were freaked out.
So what about Thomas's reaction to the Chameleon? Did he embrace it or was he against it?
Oh,
what was his attitude towards it?
Thomas Rockart Jr. embraces anything that'll draw money. And he's a great businessman. He still is, and so he liked it. It was different and it was edgy. So he was like, "Oh, there's money here." He smelled money. Yeah, he liked it.
Nice. So your first program in WWO was with the billionaire baby Ricky Witherspoon. Any memories from that?
I remember the first night, the first match we worked. I forget where it was, but he would come out, and one of his gimmicks, he would have 20s and 50s and maybe a lone 100, a lot of ones in there. He'd have a money clip, he'd have money go, and he'd wave it at the fans and all this kind of thing, he was a heel. He was a spoiled guy and all that. I came out as him, dressed as him in the suit and da-da-da. I had money with me, but I knocked him down. It all work. I grabbed his money, and I threw it to the crowd, right? Okay, well, when the American Dream, Sonny Logan throws a T-shirt to the crowd, and the crowd kind of, or a fly ball that sits with the guy, oh, okay, grabbing for it and all that. Well, this is money. I swear to God, the first two rows damn near took down the barricade. They're like, ah! And the cops, and Ricky, God bless me, he was pissed. He goes, Cam. He get backstage after the match. He goes, Cam. They started calling me, that was my nickname. Cam, you throw the money, you ball it up, and you throw it where the sons of bitches can't trample each other getting at you to the ring. I go, point taken, lesson learned, Ricky. Sorry, man. It was cool. And about this time, I don't know if I mentioned this before. I like to sketch. I like to draw, and obviously, write and all that kind of thing. But I do like to draw. And I would make sketches of people. And one thing I started to do, I wanted to draw a sketch of Ricky Witherspoon to kind of capture his character. Because at this time, I'm trying to think, what people's gimmicks are. see if I can, are usually like their own personality amped up, 20 times or 100 times and all that kind of thing. That's usually what people's gimmicks will be. And in his case, it certainly was true. He had come from a poor background, and he was kind of ashamed of it, and he wanted to be this billion-dollar baby. We would go out to some of these, famous restaurants and high-priced restaurants. Always the best of everything. He flew first class, even though he had to pay for it. WWO didn't fly him first class, but he upgraded himself all the time. He lived his gimmick as well, and that's what I found about quite a few people. I wasn't the only one living a gimmick. Other people were living their gimmicks too, and I started living it right along with him. We always went to the finest restaurants and clubs, and I was making good money for me at that time. I was getting into six figures a year. That's a lot of money for that, especially how old I was. So money was no object. And I remember one time there was a match. I bit off a piece of my tongue, and so Santa shot me up. Santa.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, actually.
We used to call, we had a physician that traveled with us on the road, and kind of like a traveling pharmacy, actually. We get all our supplements from him, get all our painkillers from him, muscle relaxants. If we need a little energy, we get a little pill or two from him, those little blue pills. Anyway, so... I bit my Santa shot me up with Novocaine, shot up my tongue, shot my whole area with Novocaine. And I couldn't feel a thing, and Ricky wanted to go to this restaurant, and I was like, well, I'm not going to be able to taste anything. What's the point? And he says, that's not the point. You don't have to taste anything. The President of the United States eats there. It was in D.C. And he's like, okay, that was the point. So I ended up going and getting drunk on a bottle of, I think, $100 champagne or $150. Just got drunk on that and didn't eat any food. That was the billion-dollar baby.
So, while you're in the WWO, what was the party scene like compared to, the other wrestling federations?
Like Memphis and all that, yeah. It was a lot more. It was a lot more open in a way. I mean, we had a traveling physician. We call him Santa. Sometimes we'd call when we go on the road. He would have a room or whatever you'd go into. We call it the cookie store. You go in and you get your treats, and it was a lot more in the open at that time. This is back before any kind of wellness policy or anything like that. This is back in the day. So so in a way it was a lot more open. It was a lot more dangerous, I guess. We didn't know it at the time either, though. We didn't know it. We didn't have these tragedies going on that are going on today. Yeah. And like I said before, I'm not blaming the industry at all. I mean, I'm not, people are going to do what they're going to do in this business or in any other. I mean, human beings are human beings. They're going to make their decisions. And I certainly was making mine. And so, yeah, there was a whole, as Dr. Hunter S. Thompson, God rest him, said, a whole galaxy of uppers, downers, screamers, laughers, wherever you wanted to go. And we need it for the travel schedule.
So were there any prominent members of the WWO that were in this party scene?
Oh, yeah. There was, yeah. Take your vitamins. Say your prayers. Sonny Logan. One of the more surreal moments of my WWO time was being backstage with Sonny Logan. And he was doing hits of coke out of a bullet gimmick. And he goes, here you go, brother. And I was nervous. Here one of my idols offered me cocaine backstage at a pro wrestling match. I think he was going on 2 matches away. I had finished. I was working, the third mid card at that point. But I had finished, and he was going to go on main event. And he's doing coke, and he showed me how to do it. He's like, no, easy, brother, do it easily. And here I am, like a father figure, I guess. But instead of teaching me how to throw a ball, catch a baseball, he was teaching me how to do coke. I'm not judging him. We're still close to this day, but. I hope he doesn't hate me after this, but this is a shoot, so I guess I can talk about it, at this time, I was sober so little of the time, I wasn't even doing the whole, I wasn't, touching my body or anything like I used to do to reaffirm my existence. I didn't have an existence. I was living my gimmick.